Hey, Jim Page here, fly fishing for the rest of us. So in this video, we're going to talk about how to start fly fishing, what you need to do to get into fly fishing, and I'll give you some of my thoughts about it, what I've done in the past that might help you too. So I believe when you start fly fishing, if you live in an area that has access to panfish, bluegill, shellcracker, redbreast, any of the panfish species, it's easier to start fly fishing for panfish because you'll learn how to cast, you learn how to set the hook. Panfish are very cooperative. They're not overly selective on their flies. You don't need an expensive fly fishing outfit to fish for them. They're usually readily available in just about every state in the lower 48. I don't believe there's any panfish in Alaska. If you live on a Caribbean island or an island surrounded by salt water, panfish wouldn't be a first start for you, although there is small fish in salt water like pinfish, small jacks that you could also start for before you go in and try to tackle more sophisticated game fish. But I recommend to everybody, if you're going to start fly fishing, don't go run out and buy an 8 or 9 or 7 or 10 weight and go hit the salt. That if you have access to fresh water that has some panfish, whether it's a river or pond or lake, start with them and learn the basics. And really, you hear a lot of people talking about what's the best fly rod or what's your first fly rod you should buy. I fished for many years with the first two fly rods that I acquired that were really nice, top end fly rods and reels with a 6 weight and a 9 weight. And they served me very well. I know you're thinking, well, Jim, do you recommend a 6 weight? I think for the first rod, I agree with a lot of folks who say buy a 5 weight. A 5 weight's a good trout rod. It's a good panfish rod. It's a good small bass rod. They make, every manufacturer makes 5 weights. They make most of the combos. If you want to buy a combo, you'll see combos in 5 weights and 8 weights. Some manufacturers have them 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 and 9. But a 5 weight is a standard freshwater fly rod. The reason I chose a 6 weight instead of a 5 weight for one of my first two really nice rods was the handle. What you'll see, and I want to date myself, when I started really seriously fly fishing, all your rods from 6 weight down to 0 weight or double 0 weight, fly rods come from double 0 weight all the way up to 16 weight, 15, 16 weight, depending on the manufacturer. But all the fly rods that were 6 weight and below had this half wells or reverse half wells handle. Some people call it a cigar shape. It's a half wells because it flares hair. A reverse has half wells because it flares the hair at the bottom and it's smooth at top. I don't like this handle. I've never liked this handle. I only have one fly rod with this handle, and it's this little fiberglass 3 weight from Thomas & Thomas that I use on very small creeks, like a 10 or 15 foot wide creek. A lot of people love these handles, and what they like about them is that your standard fly fishing grip is your thumb on top. Well, this handle, when you cast, it drifts away from your thumb. If you're making a 15 or 20 or 25 foot cast in a small creek, it doesn't matter. A lot of people will put their forefinger on this part of the grip like this for those short casts because it gives them more accuracy. I'm not really a forefinger kind of guy. I think if you practice your casting enough with your thumb up here, you can be just as accurate. But if it's your personal preference to put your thumb up here, to your index finger up here when you're making really short cast and you need to be really accurate with it, that's fine. So that's the reason I didn't start fly fishing with a five weight, because 20 plus years ago, all the 5 weights had this kind of grip. And I still don't like this grip. I have it on this one rod. This one little 3 weight has this grip on it, and it's okay for this little fiberglass rod that I use in really small water. The grip I prefer is, they call this a snub nose full wells. It's got a little swelling right here. You'll see on the bigger rods, 6 weight through 15 weight, that it's a full wells and that the swelling right here will be bigger. But there's a lot of the 5 weights now have this style grip. I like this style grip. I have it on all my fly rods except that one 3 weight. So my 4 weight through my 11 weights all have this either full wells or snub nose wells grip. I like it. It works for me. Like I said, I don't usually put my index finger on top. I'm usually always putting my thumb on top when I cast. So that's the reason I did not start with a 5 weight. But now, most fly rods that are $230 or more, most of the manufacturers have this little snub nose right here, which I really like. And this is a 5 weight from Orvis. I have other 5 weights, but they all have that grip. I have a 4 weight with this same grip on it. So my recommendation is get a 5 weight. Most manufacturers have 5 weights or multiple models of 5 weights. It's the rod they spend a lot of time perfecting the taper on. The whole debate about this half well cigar looking grip versus the snub nose, you can buy a decent rod from Echo for $100, has a lifetime warranty, and it will come with this grip. If you're doing fishing for brim and trout, you'll be fine with this grip. If you're trying to make a 100-foot cast with your 5 weight, you might get a little frustrated with this, but you can do it. I've seen guys throw bamboo rods, which are a really slow rod, with this same grip. I've seen them throw the whole fly line 100 feet, not 100 yards, but 100-foot cast. So it's doable. It's just not as comfortable for me. So one thing I want to talk about, so you're going to get a 5 weight. You're going to get a line that matches, and then you're going to get a reel that matches. So fly rods are rated to throw the line. So 5 weight fly rod is meant to throw a 5 weight line. One thing a lot of people don't talk about are warranties. Fly fishing equipment can last a long time. I have some fly fishing reels that are 20 years old, over 20 years old, and they work fine. I still use them. Fly reels are very simple compared to spinning and bait casting reels. Some of your less expensive fishing equipment only has 1 to 5 year warranties. I really don't recommend buying anything that doesn't have at least a 5 year warranty. I believe St. Croix has their least expensive rod models have a 5 year warranty. Orvis has 25-year warranty on their rods. TFO, which is an offshore manufacturer, they have lifetime warranties. All your domestic rod makers, which would be people like Sage, Orvis, G. Loomis, Thomas and Thomas, R.L. Winston, Scott, all your major names have lifetime warranties on their equipment. So I would be careful when you buy. Think about your budget. Think about getting a 5 weight, and think about the warranty that comes with that. A lot of people buy Max Catch combos. Their reels have a 3 year warranty. A fly reel on a 5 weight, especially if you're not taking it into the salt a lot and you take care of it, will last forever. There's people who use reels, click drag reels on their 5 weights for 40 years. So if you only have a 3 year warranty, if you can afford it, it's better to get a better reel with a better warranty. Some of the low end or less expensive rods out there, manufacturers that make good equipment, serviceable equipment, people like Echo, Douglas, Max Catch, Allen, TFO, they all make really serviceable equipment, and you can get a decent casting fly rod for $100 for a 5 weight. You can get a good, decent casting fly rod 5 weight for $100, which is not bad. Some of the companies that I personally used have been Sage, G. Loomis, Scott, Thomas and Thomas, Orvis, Redington, All Star, and TFO. So think about that. So you get your 5 weight. Now, when it comes to the reel, you have two choices. You have a disc drag reel and you have a click reel. And the drag mechanism is what separates them. Paul click reel, it's just got a little spring, and it is not a very adjustable drag. Sometimes you can't adjust them at all. It's just a spring, and it's got a pawl that goes across a little set of gears, and it clicks. Those reels have been around forever, decades. Orvis has made them, Hardy has made them, Fenwick made them, and they still make them, and there's still a lot of people who use them. 50 years ago in the saltwater, people were taking their bamboo fly rods and their click drag reels that were used for rainbow trout and brown trout and catching redfish and bonefish and pretty powerful saltwater fish on fishing equipment that was originally made for freshwater brown trout and rainbow trout, salmonoid species. And it worked because that's all they had. So you use what you have, right? Click drag reels are nice. They're light. They are low maintenance. They have a really nice sound to them, depending on the manufacturer, and they're easy. I have some click drag reels I'll show in a later video, and I also have some disc drag reels. You don't really need a disc drag reel for your 5-weight. Your 5-weight's going to be your panfish, your small bass, small carp, your trout species, your freshwater trout species. You can also use a 5-weight in saltwater. A lot of folks are doing that. They're buying a saltwater line, 5/6 line, putting it on a 5-weight and catching baby tarpon, small redfish, small jacks, sea trout. So you can use it in the saltwater, but it's a good all-around rod. It's a good starting rod. If you have to buy a combo or you want to buy a combo, most manufacturers who make combos make it in a 5-weight because it's a very popular line size. I don't think a 5-weight, some people will say a 5-weight's a great bass rod. It's not. Small bass, fine, but this is a fly, a deceiver that I tied to look like a redbreast for largemouth bass. You can see how big this thing is. If you try to throw this on a 5-weight, it's going to be tough. So bass have largemouth bass will eat big baits, and I throw big baits at them. So I usually don't use a 5-weight for a largemouth bass. The other things I do. So remember your warranties. Remember to look for lifetime warranties if you can afford it. Now there's a lot of people who make combos. Combos are very convenient because it's your fly rod, your fly reel, your backing, your fly line. They usually send some leaders. Some of them even send you some flies, some forceps or some little mini pliers. They'll send you the whole package, and that's very convenient. And if you don't have a lot of time, and if you don't have a local fly shop or a big box store, combos are great. They save time. The two things you need to be aware about in combos, the fly lines in combos are usually not that good. Redington has come out with some combos that they put a really nice fly line on. And also in a combo, the reel many times is die cast. Now, what's important in fly fishing is conventional fishing, the weight of the lure is how you throw, is how you cast, right? It doesn't matter if you have good mono, cheap mono. I mean, of course it matters. You might break your fish off if your mono is cheap or if you have older mono or fluorocarbon or braid. But the weight of the lure is what casts, is really what propels the cast along with the action you impart on the rod. With fly fishing, you cast the fly line. The fly line is what carries the fly because even though this fly is big, it doesn't weigh anything compared to a spinnerbait or a 6-inch crankbait or a jerkbait or a 12-inch soft plastic. Weighs nothing compared to them. The line is very important in fly fishing. Don't let anybody fool you. You can take a good line and it will cast better on a less expensive rod than a bad line on a really nice rod. You can spend $500 to $900 on a fly rod. You can spend $20 on a fly line, and it's not going to cast that well at all. You can spend $100 to $250 on a fly rod and spend $40 to $80 on a fly line, and it's going to cast just fine. And you take care of your fly lines. A lot of the professional bass fishermen, I heard them talking in the days of mono many years ago about they changed out their mono every night in between the days of fishing on a lot of the rods. And I used to change my mono and my fluorocarbon out quite frequently. A fly line is something that lasts you several years. You don't want to cut a fly line. You don't want to snag it on oysters or barnacles or briars. If you cut that outer coating, water gets into the core. Eventually, it's not going to float as well. And you really need to take care of the fly line. And it lasts for 5 years, where most mono and fluorocarbon doesn't last that long. So you've got your 5-weight rod. You've got a 5-weight reel. I would try to stay away from the die cast and go with a machined aluminum reel. You can get a decent machined aluminum reel from people like Piscifin or Max Catch for $50, which is cheaper than a die cast reel. They're made overseas, but they're serviceable for a 5-weight. You get your 5-weight fly line. Scientific Anglers, Rio, Cortland, all make good. Piscifin has a decent fly line for $20. Scientific Anglers, Rio, and Cortland all have an introductory fly line. It's about $40. It's a good fly line. It will cast well. It will give you good service. And then a leader. And I'm going to have a follow-on video where I go over the leaders a little bit more because they're a little more in depth. And then I'll talk about some flies for panfish because really you don't need that many flies for panfish and you don't need fancy leaders. So right now we've got you at a 5-weight fly line, 9 feet long. Graphite is the predominant material. Some people are still using fiberglass and some people are still using bamboo. So 5-weight, 9-foot fly rod, 4-piece, so you can travel with it. Lifetime warranty, or at least a 5-year warranty. You might use that 5-weight for a number of years. And match it to a 5-weight reel, a 5/6 reel, and any good fly shop can put that together for you. If you don't have a fly shop, there's some online fly shops that have a good online presence. Mad River Outfitters, Trident Fly Fishing, the Orlando Outfitters, the Fish Hawk in Atlanta. There's a bunch of good fly shops that have online presence. And a lot of them, if you buy the rod and reel and fly line and backing, they'll give you the backing free and they'll rig it all up for you and ship it to you. And if you, a lot of them have like free shipping over $40. Now you can buy this stuff in combos off the internet. You can buy them combos off the manufacturer's website, or if you can order directly from them. They have combos, but like I said, I'm not a fan of die cast reels. I'd rather see you get a machined bar stock aluminum reel. And there's a lot of good videos on how to set up a fly rod and reel, how to put on your backing, how to put on your fly line, how to connect your leaders. Plenty of content on YouTube. So that's your first step. Your 5-weight, 9-foot fly rod, your 5-weight reel, could be a 5/6, could be a 4/5, a 5-weight fly line, and then a leader to match. And we'll talk about leaders and flies in the next video. So that's all for this video. If you have any questions, if you want to talk about brands, there's a lot of good fly tackle on the market now. You can't really go wrong. Click versus disc drag. Either one's going to work on a 5-weight. You don't have to get that sophisticated. The fish aren't going to take that much drag out on you, not compared to a saltwater fish. If you think you might go saltwater fishing with your 5-weight, you might want to think about saving a little more money and getting a little bit better reel. You can still use a click drag reel in saltwater. People still do. People did a long time ago for many, many decades. So that's all we're going to talk about in this video. It's getting a little long, and I'll be putting up another video with some basic flies and leaders for your panfish to go with that 5-weight. All right, thanks everybody.